Whoops. Hey. Oops. Welcome. How's it going? Money Mondays. Thanks for joining us. Let me start there. Thanks for joining us. And we are here through All About Us Media. Okay. I am your host, Vanda Jamison of the Jamison Legacy Group. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Jamison Legacy Group and get all the notifications in real time as they drop. And please follow All About Us Media on all of those platforms as well. Catch our Facebook Lives. That's what we'll be. We also drop on YouTube right after this show. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button right below. So you're tuned into Mo Money Mondays, where we talk about all things money and how it relates and influences our everyday life. I am your financial strategist, your insurance broker, your retirement planner, your generational wealth builder, and financial education instructor. You know, financial literacy is so crucial. And my passion lies in helping ordinary people. It starts with a plan. So our talks here on Mo Money Mondays are designed to help your money make sense. How about that? So let's get to it. Tonight we have a special guest. Okay, this is going to be some dope conversation, y'all. You know, each person has an individual emotional and psychological connection with money, with their money. And financial education has direct impact on people's happiness, people's relationships, and people's well-being. And I always say the problem is not money. Money is not the problem. The problem is our relationship with money. So tonight, my special guest, she is a 6-year Navy veteran. She is a licensed marriage, family therapist out of Florida, UNC Chapel Hill from North Carolina. Okay, guys, please put it together and let's welcome Miss Tiffany Elliott. Hey there.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you, Queen?
I'm great. I'm doing just fine. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes, I'm Tiffany Elliott. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm currently practicing out of Florida and Alabama through telehealth. If you're ever in need of some services, I might be able to help you out.
Yeah, we're going to put your contact information up before we end today. But I'm very excited. So I'm kind of calling this show, I thought in my head, I'm like, finances from head to health. How about that?
Definitely. I love it.
From head to health. So there are so many ways that our mental health affects the way that we deal with money. And I imagine that you encounter this dialogue often with clients. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the connection between mental health and finances, and vice versa, finances and how that affects mental health.
I think that one is probably the easier one. I think that's the easier one to handle and that most people understand is how the finances can kind of affect the mental health, because we all kind of think the more money I have, the happier I'm going to be. Yes and no. I kind of look at like everyone needs all the basics, right? A safe place to live, a way to get to work, to be able to work and to make money, but not so much we never think about how that stress of having that particular job or the stress of having to maintain a certain lifestyle eventually starts to work on our mental health. And so what I mean by that is, when you're struggling to bring in a paycheck to pay the bills, of course you're going to be a little sad and depressed if you don't have enough money to cover all your expenses. But at the same time, it can be like a evil revolving door, because sometimes you will find yourself spending money on things that are not necessarily needed, but as a coping mechanism, you're starting to buy things, what I call creature comforts,
Yep.
to make you feel better.
Talk about it.
And so,
Voids, I call filling voids.
exactly. So I'm gonna step on some people's toes right now. Make a lot of people upset
Well,
right now,
because you know what? It's emotional.
it is. It really is. But I'm about to be petty, so I'm just letting you. I'm preparing you
Okay.
guys.
Okay. We're
So
ready. We're ready.
our mental health is very important, but yet we will often take our money, go get those nails done, um, go get our hair done, go buy some makeup, and all of these things are important, and they're all
Cover it all
necessary.
up, right? We're covering it
Right?
all up.
Yes, exactly that. We're covering it all up. And sometimes you have to make space. Yeah, those therapy sessions aren't cheap, I do understand, but maybe if you cut back on some of the outer accessorizing and make time for some therapy. So that was just me being petty right there. Like, where are
But
our
it's true.
priorities?
It is
you know
absolutely true, though. It's true, Tiffany. Because it's deflecting, right?
Mhm.
It's a distraction. Yeah.
Exactly. Some of the most beautiful souls or wearing masks. I'm like, I don't know why you people are all mad about wearing a mask, because many of you wear masks every single day.
Well, I think that also, can you speak to sometimes people get emotional state of mind that may be
Mm.
limited or depriving to the place that they don't even recognize that it's any longer an issue because it's become the norm. So, do you have any guidance on how people can begin to see themselves? Because if we're constantly distracting ourselves, how do we see ourselves? Like, what do I do to really recognize that I need help if my head is so far up my behind that I can't see? And I've seen that a lot. We're so into working for somebody else, spending 60 hours in somebody else's business, and then the kids, and then the husband, and then, the little league, that you're not even paying attention to yourself. So we're sometimes clueless.
That's a great question, and I don't know if I have the answer for that. I think a lot of times,
I'm
for
sorry.
change to occur, tragedy has to occur, or something unfortunate has to occur. And unfortunately, in
Mm,
most of our society,
all right.
for big change or something big. So whether it's graduating from high school, whether it's getting a divorce, whether it's getting a promotion, sometimes it takes really big events for us to realize, I might need, what am I doing, or what have I done to get me to this point, or what haven't I been doing
Well said.
that's landed me into this particular position. And
So well
here's
said.
being somewhat about quote unquote successful people. Like, I like to use the analogy of, a lot of times, if you have that person who does so well in school academically, like they always get the A's and all that, that person, to me, they might be kind of naturally smart, but they're not totally well rounded, because that same person who's maybe a C student is probably a more well-rounded person, because you've had some failures, you've had some successes, and so it causes you to reflect more on how you are in a particular space. But if you're always perfect, or always having, just the right thing, you don't ever really take the time to reflect
Yeah.
until there's something major that happens.
I thought that was excellent. Well said. Well said. And that's probably the most powerful answer is I call it not listening to, not being obedient to spirit,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we are not obedient because we're so busy covering up, but there are signs. Don't you think that there are signs? We're
Always,
ignoring them.
always, always. We have so many distractions. We have physical distractions of material goods, our families and relationships. We have so many distractions, and then our society here in Western culture is not set up and does not respect the science or the thought of silence and rest. So many other cultures respect.
Mm,
Like, you go to a lot of European countries, Latin American countries, they have siestas, they have break times, rest times. Like, don't try to get a meal between 1 and 4 in the afternoon or something like that. It's probably not going to happen because they've shut down to rest, to regroup,
yeah.
and then they open up a little bit later in the day. We, as a cultural here, it's always go, 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 go. And so we don't respect the quiet time. We don't even know how to be quiet with each other in our relationships, let alone ourselves. We get uncomfortable when things are too quiet,
Hmm.
and that's not normal. We've been programmed to think that it's normal. Why do you think sleep is so important? Because it's a time to kind of shut it down. That's when your body starts to regenerate. All your cells is during that quiet time. And when we stop
I feel
having,
like COVID was, kind of a
yes,
double-edged sword, right?
yes,
We've seen so much evolution
mhm,
since COVID. Humanity is changing.
mhm,
Yeah.
definitely. So we definitely need to honor silence and nature and the connection between the two. And how that even works into money is that I feel like once you're able to really be silent with yourself and be more reflective, you don't you don't need so many accessories, then you're okay with having
Yeah.
just the Honda Civic versus needing to have the Honda, I'm sorry, the Acura or the Lexus. It's just knowing that mainly I need a car to get from A to Z. Having the luxury car is just an accessory.
You're not being identified by your emotions anymore.
Right.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Okay, that was powerful. Um, yeah, let me take that in. As a broker, there's such an incredible correlation to what you're speaking of because when I go in with clients and we're looking at their budget or we are reallocating funds, I am like, this is not right. You know what I mean? I can see numbers don't lie. The numbers tell me exactly where the money's going. And when I see where the money's going, I can pretty much tell you how you're feeling.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff being used to make you feel good, and you're still not feeling good because the numbers are showing me that you are not solid. You are not on solid ground, and a lot of money being wasted. I see that.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
that tells me something. Why so
Mhm.
much money wasted? And I
Mm,
don't see the
mm.
value being created in the environment or in the person's life with all of the money that's being wasted. So, yeah.
And they definitely overlap. I mean, I see it all the time, people being very messy in their relationships, and
Ooh.
usually that comes along with probably having messy finances as well,
Hmm.
because it's basically a lack of boundaries. That's what it all comes down to. And I have these conversations all the time of, well, I didn't pay my light bill on time, or that particular credit card. It's a credit card and it's just has to go. And I remember this one popular financial consultant from, years back, and she used to say something like, we have to honor when we decide to make a commitment to get a credit card, get a car, even to rent a place. You are making that's your moral obligation. You chose that. Nobody forced it on you. That's a choice you made. And so then when you start being messy and breaking those obligations that you signed up for,
Mm-hmm.
how is that also playing in the rest of your life? You're
Right.
probably not honoring yourself or others in other aspects of your life as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
I heard drama. I'm like, you
drama,
got drama going on, honey. It's affecting your pocketbook.
lack of integrity,
Mm,
lack of just respecting
right. Moral compass.
that part. Yes, exactly.
That part. Yeah. I do see that. I do see that. And it's so interesting because I have clients that, like, maybe I've known for 7 years or something. Maybe they weren't always my clients, but I've watched their lives evolve. And, when their mental health is better, for instance, I have a couple that are clients and they're in their 60s now, but I've known them for 20 years.
Mhm.
So they were friends and they became clients. And
Mhm.
I can remember when they were almost going to split. They were both going through something. The relationship was going through something, and the money was so funky. And they did couples therapy, and they really, really worked on their relationship. They are both about to retire, and I'm so proud of not only their relationship, but they healed
Right.
their finances, and they healed their finances
Mhm.
together. Whereas one, I mean, the husband used to, he had the debit card and who knows what was missing. Like, there was just so much drama going on. And
Mhm.
when the drama ceased and they really decided to tackle their relationship
Mhm.
emotional health, it changed everything.
Exactly.
Ooh,
we're
that's
afraid to we're afraid to have conversations. We're afraid to be vulnerable with each other about all of not only our feelings but also our financial what we have going on. I have a I never forget this guy wanted to marry me, but then he changed his mind.
what?
He said, "You got too much debt, girl. You got too much student loans. I'm not trying to.
Oh,
He told me not to marry you." I was like,
I
"What?"
understand though. But I
Like,
understand. But yes, and I bet now you understand too. A little
yes,
bit of
yes,
maturation, right? Once
yes.
we learn and we go through life when we grow up. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, folks out there, it is definitely something to look at. We have Tiffany Elliott here, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapist. And if you are in a relationship, let me say that again. If you are in a relationship or a partnership, it is so important to know where each other stands. You
Mhm.
have to know where your partner stands financially. It's not your business, but you need to know where they stand, especially if you are looking at creating a future together.
Mhm.
And start having those conversations, right? Start learning what your love language is for the money. What does that sound like? Because we keep it separate, right? I've been in so many relationships where it's 50-50. I do my part, you do your part. We're putting in for the groceries, we're putting in, but I really don't know how you handle money. I don't know what's in your account. Not that I need to know the number, but I don't know how often you're putting money into your account. I
Right.
don't know if your affairs are straight. I don't know any of that. And we've got people partnering and going into purchases together, buying real estate together, getting married, having families, and they have no idea where their partner stands financially or how they handle finances until we're already in the partnership, lock, steel, and barrel.
Right. and there's no conversation, and there's no observation rather of like, what are these what are their habits, what
Mm,
kind of habits, what kind of boundaries or do they have for
boundaries. That's a
themselves?
good one.
Yes. Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, give me more. Okay, so
So like
observations,
so
boundaries.
for instance,
What
like
else are you
especially
looking for?
when I'm dealing with couples, especially, I like to encourage them to think of their relationship like a partnership or like a business, and sitting down, making quote unquote a contract of how the relationship expectations, but also financial expectations, and understanding that it doesn't necessarily, I'm not a financial expert at all, but I always felt like it doesn't have to be 50-50, because sometimes that doesn't make sense depending on what the two people are
Right.
doing. But there can be some
Mhm.
equality in the fact that we can go off of percentages of what you're making, but then that's just like in the relationship. Not all things are always going to be 50-50, but
Right.
we have to be willing to put in a percentage of our part to make the relationship more whole than separate.
I love
And
it.
and also understanding that while we are separate, if we look at our relationships financially and emotionally like a tree, I like using the tree because you have your roots, which are like our foundation and our family, and maybe that main financial bank account of
Okay.
like, I'm trying to put it together here financially. So maybe the roots could be like long-term investments or a family trust
What?
or something like
Oh
that.
my
I don't
goodness.
help me out here.
Yes, yes. Well, you know what I just so okay. Let me calm down. I'm I'm going to a wedding this weekend. I'm very excited about it. And it started me thinking, like, what's this couple doing? Have they talked about their finances?
Mm.
I am, and this particular bride has been planning her wedding for to myself, wow,
Wow.
people really plan weddings for, think about whatever that age is that young girls start imagining and fantasizing about their wedding. They're planning their dress, they're planning their bridesmaids, they're choosing their colors way before they even sometimes find their partner to even get proposed to.
Hmm.
But we are not thinking about our financial situation like that and that partnering. We're not thinking about what's my partner? What are we going to do for retirement? How are we
Hmm.
going to start now? How are we going to really secure our financial future? But we put so much into that other stuff, the fluff, and then the
Exactly.
stuff that really isn't, that is truly as important, that gets us through, that is truly our survival.
Yep.
We are not having those conversations. Anyway, that's the thought that just pinged for me when you said that. So thank you for bringing that into the light.
Well, not only that, I was kind of perusing your website and I saw something about love notes, and I really wanted to ask more about that because in my head, as a therapist, when I think of love notes financially, I think about how a lot of times as couples and as individuals, we think about like the fluff stuff you said before. We dream of the big wedding, this, that, and the other, but we never think about, what if I come up and I'm having a fertility issue?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the money for that going to come from? What if one of us comes down with cancer or a major illness? Is there a fund for that?
Right,
We think insurance is going to cover it all. Health insurance doesn't cover it all.
right, right.
Am I in what is that, a healthcare savings?
Plan. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
HSP. Yes.
right. Do I have that? And so these are things that we don't talk about that I've been finding as a therapist, no matter the age of my clients, sometimes, adult clients, I might have to mention like what's going on with your finances. I see you're managing anxiety and depression. How's that? So it's almost like I'm playing therapist,
Yes.
financial inquisitor, asking those questions, but also kind of like their physical health as well. Because sometimes if their physical health is off, it's going to affect the mental health, which is so all of it is still going to affect the finances, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just a big circle. but we
Absolutely.
like to segment everything.
But I will say this, it is a big circle. But you know who's in the center of that circle? You.
Right. Yes.
You
Yes.
are in the center of that circle with everything swirling around you. So, and you spoke about insurance. It's one of my favorite areas because if we learn, if we're taught the information and we actually can receive and we're coachable, we can learn how insurance can really help us in all of these areas. But when we don't address our mental health or emotional health, our physical health, it weighs on our insurance. Whether it's
Hmm.
health insurance or other insurance, life insurance, it affects our living benefits. It affects everything. Oh, well said. Yeah, I'm trying not to go. I could go on and on about this, but I'm gonna try to stick to the script. I'm gonna try to stick to the script.
Hmm.
Uh, you know what? Let's go to commercial,
Okay.
guys. Let's go to commercial. Okay, we're gonna take a minute for the cause. We'll be right back. You're tuned into Mo Money Mondays.
If I lift up my heart to you, if I open my mouth to give you the glory, it would be hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We lift our hands to give you
And we're back. You're tuned into Mo Money Mondays. I am your host, Vanda Jamison of the Jamison Legacy Group. And tonight we have Tiffany Elliott with us doing a bomb, dope interview, dropping the nuggets, really helping us out, getting to the core of mental health and how it affects our finances. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking around to
Of
give
course.
us the 1-2. So I have a question. I know that you and I have talked a lot. We've had great chats about spirituality, and it is one of my foundations in teaching financial literacy. I am a certified financial uh, education instructor, and I am partial to the mindset, the emotional part of how that affects our finances. So let's talk spiritual wealth and legacy. I know that that is also one of the passions that we share. How does that connect in your
Well, I, I feel like anytime a person has a firm foundation of some kind of spiritual connection, then we have less attachment issues, because a lot of times
right?
depression and anxiety come from a lack of control or a need to control either our bodies or others. And so when you have more of a spiritual foundation, you are you can be open to the fact that this is just a physical thing, physical matters, and you're able to connect more of learning that money is just like a tool or a resource to help yourself and to help others.
Mm.
And I feel like letting go of that attachment just relieves a lot of pressure that we tend to have, and that less becomes more. We our value systems change from a material thing to a more of a give and a more of a collective. which just relieves stress. It helps the anxiety to be minimized, as well as the depression, because you're not having these intrusive thoughts of feeling like you have to look and be a certain way. And how that's connected with the money is because with the money, we're taking the money to maybe change our appearance, um, as once again as a deflection of the inner issues. Whereas a lot of times with our spiritual practices, and we're not necessarily talking about religion here, but more on just a spiritual journey, you start to value things outside of yourself, uh, in other people. You're looking for more of a human connection, a
Mm,
more nature-like connection, and less of a connection through goods and services, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, money is the tool that we use for exchange. And so that exchange or that tool is energy. Money actually has no value until you use it,
Exactly.
right? If you've got a shopping bag full of money, it may affect your life condition in
Hmm.
that moment, knowing that that shopping bag of, stacks is underneath your bed or underneath your desk. But until you actually put it in hand or until you use it, that's when it becomes a powerful tool.
Hmm.
And so what just resonated for me, or what I just heard, or what it lined, money is energy, then
Hmm.
your energetic state can determine how much money you attract,
Hmm.
because energy is frequency. And if
Exactly.
your frequency is off, then your financials are off. And it may not be because yes, there's the idea that, depression may set in, we can't make it to work, that can affect our paycheck. But I'm talking about something different here. I'm talking about what people might call luck,
Mm-hmm.
or just how things may fall in your path, that
Hmm.
abundance that we can attract. Are
Right.
we blocking that? Are we putting limitations on that when
Hmm.
we are not addressing our emotional health, because it is all energy.
Right.
So,
And because if you're emotionally healthy in general, you're just going to make better decisions about things, right?
yes,
And you're going to be less impulsive
yes.
about doing certain things. But if that mental health is off, then more than likely your decision making, because you're not well, or your decisions aren't going to be as well because you're in a diseased state of mind.
A diseased state of mind. What does that mean? Can you elaborate?
Well, our depression, our anxiety, those are all diseased or disease states of mind, meaning that they're not, there's something that's causing imbalance.
Okay. And that can lead to things like, because I know that there are folks out there that don't think that emotional health is part of their story. That's why I asked you that.
Exactly. No, it's
um,
fine.
Loneliness, isolation. I've had to question that myself. After COVID, going inside, I learned so much about myself, and my growth, my expansion was really exciting for me. I really enjoyed the journey. I fell in love with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that I did not need a lot of things that I used to think I needed before. I spent a lot of time with myself, by myself,
Mm-hmm.
just for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to question, wait a minute. I had to check in. What is this? Is this isolation, or am I just having a good time?
Right, right. And a way that I like
Like, so
to,
that's why I asked that, because sometimes, you know,
definitely, and like I wish in this country it was feasible for everyone to have to go either work abroad or study abroad or something like that, because it's something about being in a culture other than yours where they probably don't speak the same language and the money is different and the
Mm,
way the money is handled and looked at is different, causes you to, like we do as human beings, compare
right.
and then evaluate and assess. And so, me as an American Black woman living and working in Asia as an English teacher
Mm.
blew my mind, and having to have these periods of isolation and silence. Like I make jokes all the time. I was in COVID before COVID was a thing because as an English teacher, we would like be in, like, I was in this country and we would be on a break and maybe my school didn't want to let me go on vacation. So I might be a month just the only English speaking person in the town that I lived in.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it caused me to do a lot of self reflection, but also value the fact that I was in another country and to be more grateful for the things that I had in my country, but also grateful for the experience of being able to learn and observe a different culture and how they look at money and material goods and what was important for them, and made me realize that you can do a lot with a little bit of money if you know how to be creative and discipline. It definitely takes discipline. And a lot of times our discipline goes out the window if emotionally we're unstable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then the other thing about the money and being in another country, like, so money's all about what you said earlier, energy and value. The dollar today might not be as strong in Korea as it was then. And so what good would a dollar do me versus I remember one time switching, deciding not to convert my money to US money, that my Korean paycheck was more valuable staying in Korean money than being converted into American money.
Mm,
So it's all about where you are and what currency you have,
right.
because you can have some Korean money and be in Greece, and that might not work.
Wouldn't be any good.
It may or may not work. So just because you have money, depending on where you are, may not mean a damn thing, a thing at all.
Present moment. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Present moment.
and
I, I,
definitely.
I talk a lot about manifesting. Um,
Mm-mm.
and I teach folks the value and the
Mm.
power in manifesting, and that we have that capacity to manifest once we get out of our own way, once we can remove the limitations and the blockages,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So,
mm,
and
mm,
all of that is about, you think about
mm.
meditation for mental health.
I love it. Oh, that I'm an advocate. Like my nickname actually used to be the affirmation meditation woman, because I did a lot of mobile
Oh,
mental health
love it.
when I was an intern, and so that was my nickname.
That's
No,
why you're so good at that. I hear your affirmations that you be dropping in the yes. Okay.
I'm very much of a person that feels like whatever you're saying, you're probably going to manifest it. So I try to be very careful with my words that I choose to use when, and I'm a work in progress. I'm great at telling others how to
Me
do it,
too.
and
Hmm.
still I'm a work in progress on it for myself.
Yeah.
But I do understand from practicing it that when I do practice it, things tend to work better. It's all about, they say it takes about 90 days to change, right? And so that's why, like, if you're in like,
Wait. That's if you're not stubborn. Okay.
well, I didn't even get to that part. I didn't even, on average, right?
On
On
average.
average, it takes the average person about 90 days to manifest change, right? And so that's why I encourage my clients and myself and others, and just like when you're going to the gym or going to like physical therapy, usually you're given a certain amount of time, and usually it's at least about 30 to 60 days to be able to recover, because that that's the time it takes that amount of time to keep doing the same thing for it to start to become a habit, a change of thought process and pattern. So, I encourage people, the more you're saying um, uh, manifesting something or affirmation, you need the time to let it start to appear, because the way you think about it, the way you act on it is going to change and develop more and more the more you just kind of keep putting it out there. So like if you're always saying that I'm no good with money, then you're not going to be any good with money, because you keep reinforcing
Right.
the fact that
Yeah.
you're not good with money. But once you say that, even if I'm on a limited income, but I'm breaking even, all my obligations have been taken care of, which one of our obligations to ourselves should be to ourselves. We tend to keep our word to others, but not to ourselves. And that means like paying yourself first.
Where'd you get that? Yes. That's my club on Clubhouse, right? Pay yourself first.
I didn't know that, but okay.
We have so much in common.
But it's just
Y'all,
like self-care, right? Like we don't invest a lot of
is.
time in self-care. It's the same thing. For me, it's the same thing. By me putting a little money aside, even if it just looks like $25 a month into a CD certificate fund that at the end of the year around my birthday, I can decide to cash out or not. And now I have $1,000 because I paid myself first. It's just like self-care, putting myself first, whether it's taking a walk, getting my nails done.
Yeah.
What's your self-care look like? Are you paying yourself first to make space for that spiritual, so you can have some spiritual peace and some mental health peace, because
I
it's like
do.
a wonderful thing of, hey, I got this little kitty on the side that I have been paying myself first, and now this emergency, but this is besides my emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
have this little thing that I may not have to let go of my therapy session. I can dip into my self-care fund.
Right. Yeah. And kind of like be your own bank. Um,
Yes.
yes, that's. I am swinging from the rafters, preaching "Pay yourself first." So one of my favorite uh, quotes or sentences, and something I start my conversations with clients. What is your dream, and how are you paying yourself first? And they look at me with three heads and say, "Paying myself first." And it's amazing that we have been programmed to pay the rent, go and get a car with a $500 car note, right? Dedicated to paying that car note. We're still the same salary, the
Yep.
same job, but we go and get a car and we figure out how to pay that car note. Or how about this? Do you remember? We haven't always had cell phones. Cell phones appeared the last,
Right.
15, 20 years.
Right.
Remember, it used to be a $39 bill. Now it's a 99, or in some cases for people, $150 bill.
Why?
Where did we get that? Where'd that lie? But we
Right.
can't figure that out for ourselves. So we're so eager to pay everybody else and make sure that that bill gets paid, but there's no
Mhm.
there's no line item for us. So that is one of the, and I'm the one that I've got the plans to show you. I believe in compound interest. Number one,
Yes.
let's just
Yes.
say that. So
Yes.
vehicles, when you're paying yourself first, I heard you say you start small. Absolutely start small. It is like a muscle. And
Mhm.
a muscle that you are working on must be toned. You must continue to flex that muscle. And as time goes on, you will build strength. You will build endurance. You will become solid. You will become stronger. And it's the same thing with putting away money. So you're absolutely right. Whether you're putting away $10, $20, uh, you hear this, guys. Tiffany Elliott, okay, licensed marriage family therapist. She's dropping diamonds here about
And I'm
how.
about to be messy. I have to get a little messy again.
Okay, go on. We like messy. We like messy. We don't do it often here, so bring it on.
this is still connecting to like the spiritual aspect, but bringing religion a bit into it. So I like to talk about like the emotional health, our connection to spirituality, and our organized religious organizations, right? And this thing of
Ooh,
tides and
ooh,
all of that. Yeah, I told you I'm about to be messy.
ooh.
That's my
I
middle
just saw
name.
something. I'll share it
Messy Petty.
afterwards. Go on. I'm ready. I'm
I'm
ready.
the messy petty therapist. I'm that
I'm ready.
person.
We're ready.
So while all of these things are very important, I feel like, you know, if you decide that you want to contribute to your financial, I'm sorry, to your religious organization or institution, I don't necessarily find a problem with that. But where it gets a little messy is people get into this mindset or thought process that they have to do a certain amount, whether it's financially stable or not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have to find a balance. We can't be out of balance, because I really don't think that whoever your higher power that you subscribe to wants you to be in financial dire straits
Right.
because I do have people coming in with those struggles of, I'm not making enough money because I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And part of that is they might be giving a lot of money to their organization.
And really laboring over the struggle of how do I continue to do this?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Amazing. I actually belonged to a organization, a
Hmm.
religious organization at one time, and there was a standard of contribution
Hmm.
on a pretty regular basis, sustainable contribution, they called
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And once in one of the publications, I saw something about how you could leave your estate to this organization and how they could
Hmm.
set that up. And I was done. I was done then. I just
Interesting,
thought,
right?
wow, shouldn't we be going back to the love notes part of my website?
Right. Exactly. Like, what are
Shouldn't
you?
we be helping their estate? How about set that up? Like, isn't that what we should be
Mhm.
doing? Making sure
Mhm.
that they've got final directives in place so that their families are cared for. And here we are talking about suggesting they leave it all to you. And I just thought that's really, yeah,
That's
conditioning
another
at its
show.
core. It's another show, right? Right. It's another
So,
show.
but
I
I
have
do.
I have one more area.
Sure.
We're close to okay. So here's my last thought.
Okay.
I heard okay, mental health. Now, when we can't afford the things that we need, and that's real, especially in this time,
Mm-hmm.
rent, food, clothes for our children, gas for our car,
Mm-hmm.
like our essentials are challenged these days. That affects your emotional health, your mental health, because we talked about stress.
Mm-hmm.
There's shame, and it tap dances all over
Mm-hmm.
something that might come from your childhood, or maybe you
Mm-hmm.
experienced the lights being out, or maybe you experienced eviction, or maybe you experience, and some of us come from families where there was pride. We did not
Mm-hmm.
talk about that. We did not ask for help. We suffered, right? We bit the bullet. Their families sleeping in their cars. So this piece about asking for help and finding out where to go for help, and how that relates to our mental health. I just wanted your thoughts on that, because I don't know that we're taught how to ask for help, and that is different, guys, than begging. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about panhandling. I've seen people out on the highway with their 6-year-old begging, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sincerely asking for help
That's a great question. I just had a
so that
conversation
we
with
can
some.
begin to overturn.
Yeah. I love that question because that is a very taboo, funny enough, subject, especially here in Western society, that of help. We have this mental image that only beggars and homeless people ask for help.
Yeah.
And then if you do, then there's something wrong with asking for help. No, everybody needs help. It just may be on a different level. So for me, it's about letting go of labels of
Mm.
how and ways of being, right? Because we've been programmed to think a certain way and to behave a certain way. And how that then starts to make us sad is that when we're not living up to the prescribed standard of ways of being and thoughts that's different from the society that we're living in. And so that then makes us, because we're bringing in the guilt and the shame, and that often leads to anxiety and depression. And
Absolutely.
I'm not addressing the help thing yet, but I think we just have to change the way we look at how we ask what help looks like. Not necessarily how we ask for it, but what help really means. Help is just like a team approach. Like I use the military as a good example. Even the captain, even the general needs help.
Yeah.
He can't fight the battle and do the play call all at the same time, right?
Right.
So everybody has to play a certain role.
Right.
And I think if we look at it more like that, just everybody having a role, and sometimes that role might mean giving back and just giving. And so it's all about our mindset and how we view each other. So, everybody needs to eat. So why is this a problem to ask for help? It's a human
Everybody needs to
thing,
eat.
right? If
Everybody
we
needs
don't
to.
eat, what's going to
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah.
If we're not getting the proper nutrients, what's going to happen?
Not
And
to
so,
mention what that does to your whole psyche, like,
right.
because I've been there. I've needed help, and but we can still happiness comes from within. It's not outside of ourselves.
Hmm.
It is really not has a nothing to do with the materials in our environment. Um, I can remember, I think I shared this with you, of being a very young 20 something year old and being a part of the system and, grocery shopping on food stamps. And I couldn't figure it out. Whatever I was going through, I couldn't figure it out at that moment. But I enjoyed the moment because I was really grateful that I had a system to fall back on for a moment.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes.
It's not a
And not
terrible
every
thing.
country has a system for
On
that
food
in place.
stamps to help you bridge the gap. I'm not sure if
Right.
I was part time or I didn't have both jobs. I don't know what the situation was, but I was on food stamps and I made the best of it. I had dinner parties with generic food, no name brand food. So it really is. You're right. It's about mindset and what we do to ourselves when we're suffering to
Mhm.
continue that suffering is just digging a deeper hole of shame and insecurity and lack of confidence.
Mhm.
And it's not respectful to ourselves.
Right.
It really is not respectful to ourselves. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for
Sure. And one last thing I wanted to go circle back to is the need for communication with
sharing.
each other and ourselves, but also to the people that we owe debts to, because I'm seeing this a lot in young people now. They don't want to have a conversation with the bill collector, with the landlord. They just think that if they ignore it, it's going to go away. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Oh,
no, no.
that's not just young people. Right.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's important, even if you don't have the money, it's like, yes, lenders have changed. There used to be a time that if you had a great relationship and contact, they would probably work with you. Like, people aren't loyal anymore. Jobs aren't loyal. Creditors aren't loyal. We're not loyal. So all of that is out the
Facts.
window now. But that communication still makes it seem like at least you're attempting to honor the obligation that you decided to sign up for.
Right. And that speaks to your integrity.
Right. Once again, integrity. Correct.
And your integrity speaks to your self-respect.
Yep.
And your self-respect affects your emotional state.
Yes.
Of what you think about yourself.
Right.
You know, standing up for yourself, or taking responsibility for yourself has a huge weight, I feel, because I had to learn how to take responsibility, even in situations where I didn't think it had anything to do with me. But I'm involved, so I must share some of the responsibility.
Right.
An enormous way to gain self-respect.
It's called maturity. You know, we have emotional maturity. We have financial maturity. It's called maturity.
Yeah. And guys, I think it comes sooner than the old folks like me learned it. And so we have access to, we have access to the information. We have access to the education. We have access to the help. We do not have to remain the same. We can get out of any situation. We can escape our own detriment.
Exactly.
Yes? Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you. Guys, we have been clamming it up with Tiffany Elliott. Oh, let me put your credentials back up. And out of Florida, Tiffany Elliott, licensed marriage family therapist. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate the conversation. This has been really, we've been discussing finances from head to health. And Tiffany has been alerting us and teaching us and sharing with us how important our mental health is in relation to our money. Tiffany, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back. This was fantastic.
Please.
Thank you. Well, guys, we are out of time. We're all done. Out of time. Thank you so much for joining us here at Mo Money Mondays. You have been tuned into All About Us Radio. I am Vanda Jamison of the Jamison Legacy Group, and we'll be back Monday with more great stuff. Let's talk about your money. We'll see you real soon.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AAU Media, and visit our website www.aaumedia.com. Call us at